The quickest way independence is stolen after 60 is not fading memory or brittle bones, it is the silent loss of muscle. What begins as a small strain to rise from a chair can end as a sudden fall that shatters life overnight. Legs that once climbed stairs now tremble, arms that once held loved ones now falter under a grocery bag. And still, most are told this is just aging, when in truth it is a condition that can be slowed, stopped, and even reversed. This decline is not a life sentence. Muscles, even past 60, can grow stronger. With the right foods, the body's repair switch turns back on, gently and reliably. These foods are not costly powders, but humble, affordable staples that have kept generations healthy. Studies following older adults show that when eaten in the right way, they restore strength, balance, and ease in daily life. But every minute without action lets muscles slip further away. Once strength is gone, the body becomes fragile in ways that can turn a single stumble into a hospital stay. Or worse. The window is short, measured in weeks and months, not years. Stay with me, because in just a few minutes I will reveal the affordable Japanese food that can rebuild muscle faster than most expect, along with 2 simple habits that make it even more powerful. I am Dr. Suzuki Sato, one of Japan's top nutritionists. For over a century I have studied how meals shape strength, and I have seen how quickly lives change when nourishment is applied. Have you felt weakness creeping into your own days? Share your story in the comments, and if this guidance helps, subscribing ensures I can keep bringing you tools for independence. Today, we will walk together through why muscles fade, the hidden barrier that keeps them from recovering, the simple food that reignites growth, and how to make it part of every day. We often think of muscle loss as something that simply comes with age, the way hair turns gray or vision grows dim. But this assumption hides the real truth. Muscle loss after 60 is not just age, it is a condition with a name, sarcopenia, and it has causes we can act on. Understanding this is the first step toward reversing the slow slide that steals independence. Let us picture an ordinary morning. A man or woman in their 70s wakes up, goes to the kitchen and pours a cup of tea. Breakfast might be toast with jam, perhaps half a banana. It feels light, easy, comfortable. But by mid-morning the legs feel wobbly on the stairs, or the hands tremble while carrying a bag of groceries. What happened? The body received food but not the signal it needs to build or even maintain muscle. This gap is invisible at first, but over months it shows itself in shrinking thighs, slower walking, and rising fatigue. Scientists at Harvard and Tokyo University describe this gap as anabolic resistance. After 60, our muscles stop responding strongly to small doses of protein. Meals that once maintained strength now leave the body underfueled. It is like trying to start an engine with a weak spark. The car never roars to life. Unless we send a stronger, clearer signal, muscle fibers quietly thin out, and daily movements that once seemed effortless begin to feel like uphill battles. Pay close attention here, because this is the hinge on which independence swings. When muscles shrink, everything else becomes harder. The risk of falling rises. Bones weaken without the steady pull of strong muscles. Even memory and mood can suffer, because muscle tissue helps regulate blood sugar and supports hormones that keep the brain nourished. Weak muscles are not only about strength, they are about the entire fabric of health. But here is the hidden tragedy. Many older adults actually eat enough protein on paper. They may have a piece of chicken at dinner, some yogurt here and there. Yet weakness still progresses. Why? Because the problem is not total protein, it is the way protein is distributed and whether each meal crosses the threshold that wakes up the body's repair machinery. Miss that signal, and the whole day's nutrition falls flat. This is why so many feel confused when they are told, "You're eating fine." Have you ever wondered why you can eat a meal and still feel like your energy slips away so quickly? Share that in the comments. It helps others realize they are not alone. Let me say this clearly. What matters is not just filling the stomach, but delivering enough of a special amino acid called leucine in a single meal to flip the switch for growth. Research shows that after 60, small protein snacks often fail to reach this leucine threshold, leaving muscles silent. It is like knocking at a door, but never loud enough for anyone to answer. Before we reveal the affordable food that solves this problem, you must hold on to this principle. The body is not broken, it is simply harder to hear. With the right nourishment, the signal can still break through and muscles can still respond. Do not drift away now. The next step is critical, because if we skip it, even the best foods will fail to do their work. Before we can fix the problem of fading muscles, we must talk about a barrier most people never see. If we ignore this barrier, even the best foods in the world will not deliver the results we hope for. And that barrier is the way our body processes protein after 60 through distribution, digestion, and absorption. Think about how most meals are arranged. In many homes, breakfast is small, maybe a piece of toast, tea, and fruit. Lunch is light, some soup, perhaps rice, maybe a little salad. Dinner is the big one, with most of the day's protein. This pattern feels natural, but it leaves long hours where the body never gets the strong protein signal it needs. By the time dinner comes, the body is hungry, but the missed opportunities earlier in the day cannot be made up. Research from the National Institutes of Health and Japanese health surveys shows that older adults often get half their daily protein at dinner with far too little at breakfast and lunch. That uneven spread is like watering a garden just once a day and letting it dry out the rest of the time. And then comes digestion. After 60, the stomach often makes less acid. This may not sound important, but stomach acid is what helps break proteins into usable amino acids. With lower acid, dense meats and hard proteins feel heavy and may not fully break down. Add in medications, like common antacids, diabetes medicines, or blood pressure pills, and absorption can slow even more. This is why many older adults feel full quickly, yet the muscles remain underfed. Now, here is where it gets encouraging. Studies from both Japan and the US show that softer, moisture-rich proteins, foods that are easy to chew and digest, help seniors absorb more of what they eat. Warm soups, stews, and gently cooked proteins pass more smoothly through the digestive tract. That is one reason tofu, miso-based dishes, and softly simmered fish have been staples for centuries in Japan. They do not just nourish, they make absorption easier. Pay close attention here. This could change how you plan your meals from now on. The barrier is not that your body refuses protein. The barrier is that it needs the right type, in the right form, at the right time. Clear these hurdles and suddenly the foods you eat can do the job they are meant to do. Let me give you a picture. Imagine someone who skips breakfast or eats only a cracker. By noon they are tired, but they push through with a bowl of noodles and a little broth. By evening, they are truly hungry, so they eat fish or meat with rice. Yes, protein enters the body, but for nearly 2/3 of the day, the muscles never heard the signal to grow. Over weeks and months, the effect compounds. Strength slips away even as meals feel satisfying. Now imagine a different day. Breakfast includes a warm bowl with soft protein. Lunch carries another moderate portion. Dinner, yes, is still hearty, but now each meal has crossed that threshold. Suddenly, muscles receive 3 strong signals, not one. The science is clear. When protein is distributed evenly across meals, older adults gain more muscle, more strength, and even improvements in walking speed compared to when the same protein is crowded into one meal. Have you ever noticed that a heavier dinner doesn't always leave you feeling stronger the next day? Share that with us. It helps others reflect on their own patterns. Only about 10% of viewers are subscribed. If this kind of guidance is useful, subscribing ensures I can keep sharing practical, research-backed steps with you each week. Do not drift away. The next part may be the one that finally shows how to break through this barrier. Because now that you see what blocks muscle repair, it is time to meet the affordable food that slips past these obstacles and reignites growth. Now that we've uncovered the hidden barrier, let us finally talk about the affordable food that overcomes it. This food is simple, widely available, and gentle on the body. It has been part of Japanese kitchens for centuries, yet science now shows it can be a powerful ally against muscle loss. That food is tofu. Tofu may look plain, but inside it carries the very amino acid signal older muscles need. A modest block of firm tofu provides enough protein and leucine, the key amino acid trigger, to switch the body from breakdown to repair. And unlike tougher cuts of meat, tofu is soft, moist, and easy to chew and digest. For someone who struggles with heavy meals or diminished appetite, tofu slips into soups, stir-fries, and stews without strain. This is not just tradition speaking. A study in Japan following older adults showed that those who consumed more soy protein had better walking speed and balance after several months. In the US, trials with plant proteins, including tofu, found similar results when the portions were large enough to cross the leucine threshold. In plain terms, tofu works because it delivers enough of the right building blocks in a form the aging body can actually use. Stay with me here, because this is the hinge that makes everything else work. It is not enough to try tofu sometimes. The benefit comes when it appears in at least 2 meals each day, giving the muscles repeated signals to rebuild. Miss that rhythm, and the effect fades. Imagine beginning your morning with a warm miso soup filled with cubes of tofu and greens. That single bowl delivers a strong signal to your muscles before the day even starts. At lunch, picture a tofu and vegetable stir-fry over rice, seasoned with ginger and sesame. Again, another signal. Dinner can still include fish or chicken if you enjoy them, but tofu has already done its work twice. By spreading these signals, the body responds with more muscle protein synthesis, more repair, and better function. Pay closer attention here than usual because this small detail can change everything. The texture and style of tofu matter. Firm tofu carries more protein per bite than soft silken tofu. If chewing is difficult, silken is still good, but pairing it with a boiled egg or a spoonful of ground sesame seeds raises the leucine content. That way, no one is left out. Everyone can adjust the form to their needs. Here is another secret that multiplies the effect. Light movement after a tofu meal acts like opening the door for those amino acids to flow straight into muscle. A short walk, a few slow chair stands, or gentle wall presses within an hour after eating enhances protein use. Studies in older adults show that combining protein-rich meals with modest exercise leads to gains in strength even in those over 80. This is not about exhausting workouts. It is about using timing to your advantage. Have you ever noticed you feel steadier after a walk following a meal? If so, tell us in the comments. It helps others connect their own experiences to the science. Only a fraction of viewers who find this content helpful actually subscribe. If you are finding value here, subscribing allows us to keep sharing these practical tools every week. Before we move on, remember this. Tofu is not a miracle, but it is a tool. Used in the right way, firm portions at 2 meals a day, paired with light movement, it can reignite growth where decline seemed unavoidable. And in just a moment, I will share how to fine-tune this approach for people with special conditions, medications, or preferences, so no one feels left out. Before we move forward, we need to slow down and talk honestly about exceptions. Because while tofu and soy proteins can be powerful allies, they are not right for everyone in every situation. Ignoring this step would leave too many people behind, and that is not what we want. This is worth hearing twice. Strength after 60 is for everyone, but the path must be adjusted with care. One important group is those living with chronic kidney disease. When the kidneys struggle, protein recommendations change. Some people may need to limit total protein or monitor minerals like potassium and phosphorus. For them, adding large portions of tofu without guidance could place stress on the kidneys. The lesson here is not to avoid protein entirely because muscles still need it, but to sit down with a clinician and craft the right amount and timing. Even smaller, well-placed servings can send the signal without overload. Another group is those taking thyroid medication, particularly levothyroxine. Soy foods, including tofu, can interfere with the absorption of this medicine if eaten at the same time. The solution is simple. Take the pill on an empty stomach, usually in the morning, and wait a few hours before enjoying tofu or soy. Many people in Japan follow this rhythm easily, separating medicine and meals by time, and the balance works. We must also talk about blood thinners, especially warfarin. Fermented soy foods like natto are very high in vitamin K2, which can change how warfarin works. But the key here is consistency, not avoidance. Doctors do not ask patients to remove all vitamin K, they ask them to keep intake steady so the dose can be set properly. If natto is part of your life, eat it in regular amounts and let your healthcare team know. If that feels complicated, rely more on tofu, which is much lower in vitamin K. Then there are those who simply do not tolerate soy well. Some experience bloating, discomfort, or even allergy. For them, the principle remains the same. Reach the leucine threshold with foods that suit your body. Eggs, dairy, chicken, and fish can all achieve the same muscle-building signal. In fact, a small piece of salmon or a cup of Greek yogurt can deliver similar benefits when portioned correctly. No one is excluded. The key is finding your version of the signal. Let me share a small story. A woman in her 70s began each day with only tea and toast. Her legs grew weaker and she feared she would need a walker. After learning about the leucine signal, she started adding a bowl of warm tofu miso soup at breakfast. Within months, she noticed standing felt steadier. Her doctor, aware of her mild kidney issues, adjusted her portion sizes. It was not dramatic or overnight, but it was steady progress. That steadiness gave her confidence back. Stay with me because we are almost at the point where everything ties together. The science and the caution both matter, but the real change comes when you translate them into your daily rhythm. That is the piece most people miss. Have you ever had to change the timing of a meal or medicine to feel better? Share your experience below. Your story may be the very one that reassures another viewer. In just a moment, I will show you how to weave everything, protein distribution, tofu, timing, and movement, into a single gentle daily plan. Do not drift now. The next part may be the one step that turns ideas into action. Now that we have walked through the science, the barriers, and the exceptions, let us bring it all down into daily life. Because information means little if it stays in the mind and never reaches the plate or the body. Pay close attention here, because this is where the research becomes rhythm, and rhythm is what the body understands best. Picture your day unfolding. The sun rises, and instead of only tea and toast, you place a small bowl of warm miso soup on the table, with 2 generous scoops of firm tofu floating inside. The broth is soothing, the tofu soft, and before you even begin your day, your muscles hear their first clear signal. This is not about eating more than you can handle. It is about making that first meal count. At midday, you sit down for lunch. Instead of just rice or bread, there is a simple tofu and vegetable stir-fry. The vegetables are tender, the tofu golden on the edges, and the flavors light. Once again, the signal goes out. Now your body has heard it twice in the same day, and the foundation of strength grows a little stronger. Dinner may still be the meal you enjoy most, whether that is fish, chicken, or another comfort food. But the real difference is that you have not waited all day to send your muscles the message. You have already given them 2 strong reminders, and now the evening meal simply supports the work already in progress. And do not forget the second habit that multiplies the effect: gentle movement after meals. Even 10 minutes of slow walking down the hall, a set of chair rises, or a few wall presses are enough to tell the body, use this protein now. The combination of food and movement is more powerful than either one alone. This is the hinge where small choices open the door to lasting independence. Before you dismiss this as too simple, remember, in clinical studies, older adults who consistently reached their leucine threshold at meals and paired it with light exercise regained walking speed, balance, and even energy within weeks. These were not athletes. They were people like you who wanted to stay steady on their feet and strong in their daily tasks. Consistency, not perfection, is the difference between decline and resilience. Now, let us address the fear many feel that if they miss a meal, the progress is lost. That is not true. Muscles respond to patterns, not perfection. If breakfast is weak one day, then make lunch stronger. If appetite is small, use smaller but denser sauces, silken tofu blended into soup, or tofu paired with an egg. It is the steady rhythm, repeated most days, that matters. Don't drift now. The next words may be the most important of this entire lesson. Independence after 60 is not preserved by chance. It is preserved by sending your muscles a steady, reliable message. Tofu just happens to be one of the simplest, most affordable, and most digestible ways to deliver that message. Tell us in the comments which step you will begin with. Will you add tofu to breakfast, practice chair stands after lunch, or adjust your medicine timing to make space for this new habit? And share one surprise you learned today. We read every message, and your words guide others who may feel uncertain. Stay with me just a little longer, because in the final moments we will weave together the stakes, the hope, and one dignified step to carry with you into tomorrow. We began with a hard truth. After 60, muscle loss speeds up, and with it comes a quiet risk to independence. It is the reason standing feels harder, walking grows slower, and falls become more dangerous. But we also discovered hope, because the body is not beyond repair. With the right signals, it can still build. We explored why many meals fail: protein crowded into dinner, weak breakfasts, poor digestion, and medicines that interfere. Then we uncovered the affordable solution: simple tofu, used for centuries in Japan and proven in modern research to deliver the amino acid signal older muscles need. And we learned the companion habit that makes it work even better: a few minutes of movement after eating to guide those nutrients directly into muscle. Do not forget this: consistency, not perfection, is what keeps strength alive. Missing one meal does not erase your progress. What matters is the pattern, the steady rhythm of protein signals day after day. This is worth hearing twice because it is the hinge that separates slow decline from steady renewal. So here is your step forward. Choose one meal this week and strengthen it. Add a block of tofu to breakfast miso soup or a handful into lunch stir-fry. Then rise from your chair a few times or take a slow hallway walk. Notice how your body responds. Tell us in the comments which step you will begin with and what surprised you most in this lesson. Your voice helps others find courage. If this guidance has been useful, subscribing ensures these tools continue reaching more people who need them. Strength after 60 is not lost. It is nourished back, one meal and one small movement at a time.